Now, I would like to call upon Ms. Sonica Aron, CEO, Marching Sheep, who shall be taking a session on understanding and addressing the learning needs of today's workforce and organizations. Ms. Sonica Aron is the founder and CEO of Marching Sheep, an HR consulting firm specializing in strategic HR advisory, diversity and inclusion interventions, employee health and wellness, and bespoke capability building interventions. In the past 10 years, Marching Sheep has gone from strength to strength under the leadership of Sonica. From a single woman army to a team of passionate HR consultants, from presence in one city to not just delivering high impact HR solutions pan India, but in more than 80 countries across the globe. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's all welcome Ms. Sonica Aron.
गुड आफ्टरनून यार बहुत ठंडा है इतने में तो मुझे ही एनर्जी नहीं आएगी कि गुड आफ्टरनून थैंक यू सो हाउ वाज लंच द इफेक्ट्स आर स्टिल देयर राइट देयर वाज such a thanda applause. I've never heard such a thanda applause for myself at least, yeah. Come on, can I have another one? Thank you. Now I feel better. Okay. So, really, really happy to be here and talking about something which is very, very close to my heart. Been in the HR profession for almost, please don't guess my age. I'm somewhere between Alpha and Z, but still I have been in the HR profession for more than 2 decades. I have been running Marching Sheep for for more than 10 years. So I have seen so many stages of L&D, from death by PPT to somebody spoke about them being, going to a hotel, them being celebratory 2-day sessions with khana, chai, biscuit, cookie, and the evening celebrations, right? All those were the highlights, but what we learned, nobody knew. Correct? And from there to what we are talking about today, micro-learning, bite-sized modules. Since morning, we've been talking about AI, use of technology, LMS, God knows what all. But the question is, who is it for? Is it for us, the people here? Or is it for the people that we want to impact? What do they want? Do we know what they want? Have we even asked them what they want, or have we assumed what they want? Let me ask all of you. Some of you would have started work, let's say in 2004, 2005. At that time, you would have people who would have been your mid-management, somewhere 10, 15 years older than you. Yes? And then their senior management would have been another 10, 15 years older than them. So at any given point of time, there would be 3 generations in the workforce, correct? Were we or anybody cribbing about multi-generational workforce at that time? And saying how difficult it is to train these people, how difficult it is to get their attention span. They don't sit for trainings, they don't like to come for trainings. Was anybody cribbing? If we want to pick hairs, of course, somebody will always crib. Right? It all really started when reports came out and we started labeling generations. And to be very honest, these reports were supposed to help us. These reports were supposed to help us understand and embrace differences and not stereotype them further and say, this is how Gen Z behaves and that is why we cannot train them. This is how Alpha behaves. By the way, Alpha has not even entered the workforce. They are born in 2012 and after, so they have not entered the workforce. So, now coming back. The point that I'm trying to make is that when we look at learning frameworks today, there is far more that we need to look at than just jargon and what everybody else is doing. So in my few years of consulting, I would have interacted with more than 1 lakh of participants. Participants across industries, participants across age groups, participants across functions, participants across life stages. And trust me, none of them said that all of us belonging to one generation, all of us don't want to go for more than 2 hours of training. All of us don't want to come to office for a training. I found that everyone had unique perspective on how they wanted to learn. So here I wanted to bring this, which has really impacted, and I think we as L&D professionals need to understand what is impacting our workforce today. VUCA is passé. It is Bani world that we are talking about today. And the impact is coming out of the political, economic, social, technological, environmental, legal ambiguities, changes, advancements that are happening at a very, very fast pace. And because of that, and what has happened in the past few years, past 2-3 years, where the workforce has seen that the first hint of a crisis, even the largest of organizations with the deepest of pockets can lay off people over a 3-minute Zoom call. That is what makes the trust or the relationship between the employee and the employer brittle. One of the panels earlier spoke about what is belonging. How do you get a sense of belonging if that is how an organization, I mean, we can talk about L&D strategy, yes, great, but L&D strategy does not stand in isolation of the entire HR activities or processes or what leadership is doing. You are not working in isolation, right? That is what makes them anxious, because they are anxious today for faster growth. They are anxious today to fulfill their life's aspirations. You know, how many of you have seen that Hindi movie, Sajan? Do you remember that Salman Khan dialogue, "Kaam hi meri puja hai, puja hi mera kaam hai"? That is what some of us have grown up with. Today's generation says, my work is a means to the lifestyle I want. It is not my puja. Sorry. Right? It is a means to get to puja. I'm sorry if there is any puja here. Okay. So, non-linear. It is all right if I change my mind. If today I want to be a software engineer and tomorrow I want to be in marketing, I think Vikas spoke about it, changing functions. It's all right. What will get me to the CEO position? What will help me make that villa? What will help me go for those foreign holidays that I aspire for? And therefore, it is incomprehensible because it is unpredictable. Are you all with me? Now, in such a situation, what is it that today's people, and please let's not stereotype them by generation. Even McKinsey has come out with a report as recent as last week where they are saying that let us not stereotype the generations by behaviors. Let's just take a very simple example. What is the definition of millennials or Gen Y? Somebody who was born in 1980 to 1994, correct? Somebody who was born in 1980, how old would that person be today? No? Mathematics? 43? Good. All pass. Somebody who was born in 1994, how old would that person be today? 29. Are you sure? Okay. All pass. Now, the question is, can people ranging from the age group of 29 to 43 have similar learning requirements, have similar ways of learning, have similar cognitive abilities? How can we club them all together? In any way whatsoever. How can a millennial born in India be the same as a millennial born in Brazil? How can a millennial born and brought up in China or Japan be the same as someone born in Netherlands or brought up in Netherlands? So are we supposed to blindly follow these reports, or are we supposed to use something up here? A lot of HR is about common sense, right? The other thing, fire. Can somebody tell me what fire is? Financial independence, retire early. Now, that doesn't mean that today's workforce is saying that please pay me more. That is not what it means. What it means is give me the right learning experience so that I can become what I want to become as fast as I can. Give me the right exposure. Give me the right mentoring. Give me the right sponsorship. Right? Now, all of these I will not repeat because a lot of speakers before me have covered almost everything. They've covered belonging, they've covered the kind of touch points, they have covered health and well-being, they've covered emotional resilience, they've covered the brand experience, a sense of purpose, and we are going to talk about the learning framework, right? So one size cannot and does not fit all. It simply cannot fit all. So when somebody comes and says, you know, we want everything to be virtual, or we have everything on an LMS, my heart sinks. Honestly, it does. So I loved it when Poonam said before this, you know, what were the different tools that worked for her? Because all of us over here, why are you here today? Somebody told me in the morning that, you know, many of us are going to miss a few sessions. I hope the organizers of this conference send some recordings or something of the sessions that we miss, because we would like to hear the perspective of the speaker. It is not just about the deck, it is about what the speaker speaks. Right? So, when we say that our learners today or our workforce today does not want in-person sessions, who are we trying to fool? We are here for a full-day conference. listening to speakers, one after the other, even if the schedule is running late and we are all very, very hungry, and not cribbing. So whose need is it anyway? So when we look at these words which come out, let's have a bite-sized module. Or let's do it virtually only. Let's not ask people to come on camera. Let's not force them. Or let's have in person only. Or mandatory number of training mandays. What happens when we have mandatory number of training mandays? Somebody comes to the training room, signs their attendance, then their manager says, please come back to work. So what have we achieved? In one of the panels earlier, somebody said that, it is about measuring meaningful work. And LMS. Whose need is this? Is it a budgetary need? Let's make L&D more cost efficient. Let's cover more people. I have 30,000 people. I have 50,000 people. I need to make sure everyone gets covered. I can't do it if I do it in person. All my people are in different locations. If I call everyone for an in-person meeting, even though I know that it will be more effective, but who's going to bear the cost of travel and stay? So whose need is it? And who are we really putting the blinders on? So I would want all of you as L&D professionals to take a pause and evaluate where are you in these metrics, in this matrix. On the x-axis is internal focus, looking inward, or external focus, which is looking outward. And let me differentiate. Internal focus is not just saying that what we have within. Like in the morning when Vikas spoke, he said, who is doing last mile delivery? And it is not just organizations from the same industry, but it is also Amazon. So when they started looking beyond their own industry, it went from internal focus to external focus. With me? Yes, no, maybe, silence? Okay. Then comes the y-axis. How much in control do we want to be? ROI क्या है? Or how much flexibility? Do we want everything keeping in mind, I want to digitize, I want this capability to be built in the organization because it is important for me, or is it important for the employee? How flexible am I? Am I giving, somebody spoke about the right to choose in one of the panels. Do we give the employees the right to choose? Because if we don't give them the right to choose, they are not getting fire. And if they are not getting fire, then you are getting great resignation or moonlighting or silent whatever quitting or rage quitting or any kind of quitting. So it might just make a lot of sense to take a pause and evaluate where are we today and where do we want to be. Some things that have worked beautifully for us in different assignments. Knowing the participant, stay interviews for different organizations. Exit interviews are great. Everybody says that I am going for personal reasons, better designation, higher studies, doesn't give you much data. Stay interviews for people who are with you. What do they really want? Please invest in that. They are the ones who are getting you your revenue. We do it for a lot of organizations, and the kind of impact it has when you do it methodically, in a structured manner, you implement the changes, you make your employees a partner in organization development, in OD, it makes a real difference. Somebody spoke about, I think that gentleman is still here, and I completely concur with him. Who impacts the employee the most? It is the manager, the people managers. Build people management capabilities. Coach them on how to build psychological safety. Coach them on how to retain. Coach them on how to give constructive feedback. Inclusive culture. Why do we want an inclusive culture? We just spoke about the diverse workforce. If we can't build an inclusive culture, we are not unleashing the power of different kind of people, and you need to build that in your learning framework. Today, people are looking for organizations. Trust me, just having your D&I vision on the website is not enough. Today's workforce is so well connected that they will know exactly what you are doing in your organization, whether you have policies or not, whether you have infrastructure or not, whether your managers are sensitized or not. They will know exactly what's happening. Emotional and mental well-being. Having a counselor at the end of the day, by the time an employee reaches a counselor, the damage is done. The person is already depressed, already having anxiety, already having panic attacks. How do I create an emotionally resilient workforce where every employee knows what are their stress triggers? What are their coping mechanisms? And hyper-personalize them, give them the option. Done, almost finished. Right? So I think these are some of the building blocks of any solid learning framework. You do it any which way, but ask your employees how they want it. Don't impose what you think is right or what you think industry is doing. Like somebody said, FOMO. Doesn't matter. So with that, I come to the end. Time is short. अरे अभी तो 15 मिनट है मेरे पास. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Sonica ma'am, for that crisp yet very detailed understanding. I would like to invite Ms. Anupama Padmanabhan, Associate Vice President, HR, Motilal Oswal Financial Services Limited, to do the honors. Put our hands together for Ms. Sonica Aron. Thank you so much, Ms. Sonica, and thanks a lot, Ms. Anupama, for doing the honors.